MLB fired umpire Pat Hoberg after he was sharing a betting account, sports betting account, with a buddy of his, and they placed a ton of bets. Pat claims he didn't bet on baseball, but he was sharing the account with his friend. The friend stays over at his place 20 to 30 times a year. Hoberg made 529 bets, putting down $700K. Those two on their shared account, they won on baseball bets. They lost on everything else. MLB obviously did a super thorough investigation. Pat gave in his phone. Here we go. I want to just lay out a few details, AJ. I know you're ready. And then they didn't find any connection with Pat placing baseball bets. The way they caught him was interesting. Last January, they had a chat, right? They go over things with the umps and said, hey, if you're betting, you can bet on non-baseball. That's okay. That's allowed. But you better make sure it's on your own account, because if someone else has your account, they can bet on baseball. Then you're in trouble. And he claims he was like, oh, crap. Now I have to start my own account, not be sharing an account with my friend. So he started his own account. And then because sports betting is regulated these days, we were actually able to catch this whole situation. In the past, this would never be caught. So we find out Pat's been sharing an account with a friend who is betting on baseball. Obviously, they spent a ton of time together. They would exchange the money in person. They would communicate on a super shady messaging app, although it's a very popular one. It's super shady. It's where you do like drug deals and stuff like that. I know it well. It's where like international terrorists communicate. And then they deleted all of that. So with that said, AJ, your thoughts?
Let's dig into you, Scott. Why are you on a super shady app where drug deals and terrorists are? Maybe we should have MLB.
Wait, let's dig into me. I would never download that crap. No, that's why I didn't even
just
say the
said
name
that
of the
you-
company.
You just said you use it. Rewind.
Did I say I used it?
Yes.
He said he knows about it. He said he knows
about
about
it. I didn't say I use it, dude. No, I would never. I would never touch that crap. I know about it though, and I didn't want to even give them love. That the name of the company.
Okay. So you have a friend that uses it for you. Got it. Okay. Sounds like Pat Hoberg.
No, you're making.
Don't bet on baseball, kids. Don't bet on baseball. That's it. This is why Pete Rose can't get in the Hall of Fame. This is why certain people are Joe Jackson, some of the Black Sox. He-ho. Don't bet on baseball. My biggest question in this whole thing, this makes sense why, because Hoberg wasn't in the World Series last year and he was rated as one of the best. It makes sense now. But my question is, why is he sharing it? Why is he sharing an account? Why would you share an account with somebody? Isn't that like the first thing you're taught, like about banks and about your cell phone and about all your shady apps that Scott uses? Don't share the account information. Don't share the password. Don't share anything. Why is he sharing an app? And then they only won on baseball? I know that Pat Hoberg didn't bet on baseball, but I mean, if his friend messaged him on a shady app and is like, what do you think about this umpire? And he's like, oh, the umpire might not be blah, blah, blah. I mean, not saying this happened. I'm just saying, like, it's a lot of coincidence that lined up.
Quick caveat, just so that we don't have any trolls that are picking at any parts of what we're talking about. He wasn't in the World Series because he was investigated starting early last season. So they took him off and said, we're going to investigate you.
That's why. Now we know why. Because normally he's one of the best umpires. He's the guy that got 100%. And he normally is one of the highest rated guys. And it was weird. I remember looking at the umpires thinking, man, Hoberg's not there. I wonder why. Now we know.
Now we know. So they didn't see any influence in the 8 games where bets were placed that Hoberg was involved in. They were not profitable overall on those 8 games. And again, he claims he wasn't placing those bets. They have technology to be able to see who's placing it, right? That's part of this. But regardless, Kratz, I don't care. I mean, you're sharing an account with a friend who's betting on baseball. Like, what are we doing? I mean, are you that out of touch that you don't know how this works? You know, you're either in the Stone Age and you don't understand technology, and then I'm like, okay, then the one thing you can understand is don't be involved in betting. So if your friend says he wants to open a betting account and share it with you, say, I don't understand technology and I'm not supposed to be involved in that. And even if you're just doing non-baseball stuff, sounds like a bad idea. So I don't care if you're 20 or 90. It's just a mistake that, to me, lines up with not knowing a law. You know, you got caught. You can say whatever you want. It didn't really influence much, but it's a mistake that has to be punishable this way. And I would be surprised if he's allowed back in.
There's a lot of things that people can be misconstrued as like, well, they didn't really tell us as baseball players not to do that, or they didn't really tell us we shouldn't be there. Yeah, I get it. It's probably common sense. Gambling and all in baseball, for umpires, for players, for front office, it's a mandatory meeting that you cannot bet on baseball. And when the sites started coming in and started being regulated, it made it a lot easier for guys because they could gamble on other sports, and they made it simple, made it regulated. But this is not so. Every single spring training, this is talked about, whether you are a minor league umpire having your first minor league meetings or you're a big league umpire. They're all having these meetings, and it's clear as day. You cannot be involved with it at all, even to the point where I've sent my buddies texts when I was playing and be like, hey, I can't respond to what you just said because that would be construed as me, manipulating the game. And they're like, oh, sorry, I was like, I just have to say, I have to say that. You just can't have anything to do with it. And he broke that trust. I have a hard time seeing him getting back in also in 26, but we'll see.
And the reason you would share is potentially because you're in a state where you can't legally bet. So you share an account with a friend who's in a state where they can bet. Unfortunately, not every state has it regulated yet.
But you got to make sure that your friend isn't betting on baseball. Like, you can't. This is just a chance you can't take. We all make choices in our life. We have to deal with the consequences. This was a bad choice by a good guy that was a good umpire, and now he's probably done. You can't bet on baseball. Just stop it. Everyone says Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. You cannot bet on baseball because it can manipulate the game. We just saw a thing with the NBA. Terry Rozier was investigated. Right now they're investigating some college things from it. Like Shohei and Ippei, that whole thing. Don't have friends be able to have access to your account. And if they have it, you got to tell them to get the hell off and close it up, because if something like this happens, it's your life that gets affected. So don't have people on your account, and don't bet on baseball. It's not that hard.
It's like if you loaned your house to a friend who's a drug dealer and then you got in trouble. Well, your friend's a criminal and you gave him your house to run a drug operation. I mean, you got to know your friends. And if you're concerned about something, you got to be able to tell them no. AJ went over this a couple weeks ago where he's not a big stay at my house kind of person. I mean, I've gotten the ask before. I'm away from an apartment. Hey, can I stay there? Depends who you are. Because if it's somebody who
even then,
is single and dating people and I don't know who's coming through, I'm like, nope, sorry, can't take that chance. Love you, but no. So I think that part's important. And also, why do more of these stories pop up lately? Because it's regulated. I truly believe in that part of it. To act like this hasn't happened for 150 years is insane. It's just that people can get caught now because not all of it's being done by illegal books in the Cayman Islands. Right? If this happened in the past, this would be very difficult
it's available.
To be able to
Here's
track.
The thing. It's readily available. Listen, as a show that we know where we stand with betting and what they are to us as sponsorship-wise, right? It's become the biggest thing in sports right now and kind of in America. Thing just came across my iPad here that, what was it, $1.35 billion they're talking about is going to be bet possibly on the Super Bowl this weekend through legal action. Who knows how many illegal things are going on, right? You just have to be smarter, and you just can't do it, especially while you're playing or involved at all in the game. You just can't bet on the games, and you can't have someone else bet on the games. It's just, listen, I get it. Everyone's going to say, oh, well, it's because, this is sponsored by this and this and this, and we're going to get mad at them. But you just got to be smarter as a player and somebody involved in baseball that you just can't do it.
It's why, though, whatever. You can say, yeah, we have, betting sponsors. Like, cool, we're talking about this. That's why we're doing it. I've always been steadfast on this. My track record even goes back to asking the commissioner of baseball at a town hall about betting and when the legalization is going to come, because everyone I knew was betting on these illegal books. And I was always thinking, if you're some random college hoops player at some D3 school and someone's going to pay you off and it would be your play, I'm like, how is this ever going to get caught? The only way to be able to regulate that there's suddenly a ton of handle going pushed towards a random college game, which is an investigation going on right now, is if it's regulated. If it's not regulated, like in California, this crap can go on. So I'm big on that part. And again, back to the top, sucks to lose a good ump because we got a lot of umps that struggle behind the plate. This dude was good. You know, like if you look at this, you're like, damn it, couldn't it have been? And go down the line of who you think sucks at calling balls and strikes. And Pap had the funniest tweet too. He was like, "Oh crap!" He's like, "Does this mean Angel Hernandez is coming back and taking his spot?"
Come on,
Pap's
Pat.
been on fire lately.
Angel catching strays.
Yeah, but it was good. It was good. All right. So anyway, thoughts, questions, concerns, we can address them, but wanted to take this one full on and obviously be like, come on. I mean, way too much shadiness here and sucks. Even if you thought you were innocent, you made the mistake that affects the integrity of the sport. So
listen, we talked about it. It's like if I give you my car, Scott, and you're pulled over with drugs and guns in the car, and you're driving my car, guess what? I'm going to get somehow brought into it, even though I had nothing to do with it. I didn't even know. You just asked me to borrow my car. You're going to an EDM. Next thing I know, you got drugs and Molly and all kinds of crazy stuff in there. And I'm like, I don't know anything about it. He just asked to borrow my car. But you had a great time on the way. Now we're both going to jail. I mean, it's always the thing when people get pulled over. How many times do we see, cop recordings where they're like, body cam, where they're like, it's not my car, it's not my stuff, it's not my car, officer. Well, you were the one in the car with it, and the guy owning the car then gets brought into it. So, you know what I say a long time ago? Check your junk. Well, protect your junk too.
It's not okay.
And that's right. My shirt says it. It's not okay. So we'll leave everyone with this. AJ, can I borrow your car?
Hell no.
You will borrow a car. You will borrow a car.
You will not borrow my car.
I'm a known car borrower. It's true. When
you don't know how to drive
many
stick, though, right?
around the country. You only have stick cars? No, you don't. Yeah. You only have stick cars?
Mm-hmm.
Your truck is
stick. You can't drive it. You can't drive stick, though, can you?
What if I can? If I can I drive it?
I know you can. No.
Every kid should know how to drive stick. Every kid. It should be mandatory.
I don't know how we got to this, but this show is taking place in 2025, not 1995.
Scott,
so you don't have to know stick.
Can you drive a stick?
I don't, but if I learn it by the time I see you again, then I'm driving that car.